Every now and then in the world of digital marketing, you come across a case study that just makes you go, wait, how did they do that? Well, today, we're digging into one of those. It's a story that kicks off with one single, absolutely massive number. And this is it, over 1 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That's a figure that can feel totally out of reach when you're grinding away trying to grow an audience online. But what exactly is it? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Over 1 million impressions. Not over a year, not even over a few months, but in just 15 days. And get this, it wasn't from some giant ad budget. It was all from Google Discover. So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or I guess the million impression question. How on earth did one agency pull this off and grab that much attention that fast? Well, the answer is a tool that you've probably seen around, but maybe haven't really dug into yourself. Google Web Stories. This was the key. This is what unlocked that incredible surge in visibility. So what are they exactly? Honestly, the best way to think about them is like Instagram or Snapchat stories, but for the open web. It's that same familiar, tappable visual format, but they live on your website and can pop up right in Google search and, crucially, in that super valuable Google Discover feed. And here's what might surprise you. Getting started is ridiculously easy, especially if you're using WordPress. There's an official plugin that's a super simple install. You don't need to be a coding wizard or hire a developer. It's all designed to be super accessible. And actually making a story? Just as straightforward. It's a simple drag and drop page-by-page builder. The main thing to remember is that you're telling a whole story, so they recommend aiming for about 10 to 20 pages before you hit that publish button. The whole platform is built for you to move fast. But look, just having the tool isn't enough, right? You need a smart strategy. So let's break down the actual blueprint they used to turn this simple format into a traffic-generating machine. Okay, this is where it gets really, really clever. They didn't just throw things at the wall. They had a two-part approach. First, they jump on trending topics to ride those waves of existing interest. And second, and this is just brilliant, they repurpose their own greatest hits. They took their best performing blog posts and just remixed them into this new, super engaging visual format. And they followed some really important best practices to make their stories shine. The whole idea was to make them snackable and interactive. That means keeping your text short and sweet, using a ton of video, and throwing in things like polls and quizzes to keep people tapping all the way to the end. Okay, so you've made an awesome story, now what? How do you make sure Google actually sees it and shows it to millions of people? This is where the SEO playbook comes in, and trust me, this part is absolutely critical. The main thing you got to remember is that a web story is still a web page. It has to play by all the normal SEO rules. So that means getting the basics right. A short, punchy title, adding it to your sitemap, filling out your metadata, and using alt text on your images. And there's one really important technical bit, making sure the story is self-canonical. All that means is you're telling Google, hey, this page is the original official version. You can't skip these steps. And now we get to the most dramatic part of this whole thing. They followed the plan, they nailed the SEO, and the results, well, the results didn't look like any normal growth chart you've ever seen. 100,000%. No, that is not a typo. That's the traffic spike they saw in a single 24-hour period after one of their stories took off on Google Discover. It's a completely mind-boggling number. And this is a huge but. Straight from the agency that did this, here's the reality check. That incredible spike, it doesn't last. What goes up that fast can come right back down just as quickly. This isn't some magic wand for permanent traffic. And this chart shows it perfectly. They call it the needle curve, and you can see why. You get this huge, sharp spike of traffic, like a firework, that lasts for maybe up to 4 days. But then, as Discover moves on to the next new thing, that traffic drops off just as fast. It's a powerful burst, not a slow burn. So what's the big lesson here? The key takeaway is that you can't just make one story and call it a day. If you want to make this a real strategy for growth, it's all about consistency. You have to keep creating high-quality, relevant, and perfectly optimized stories to keep catching that wave over and over again. So that leaves us with one final thought. Knowing what you know now, that this tool can create these massive, even if temporary spikes in traffic, and that it's actually pretty easy to get started, could web stories be your next big growth experiment?